Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to part 42 of the GTO Trainer. Apologies for if you hear my fans in the background, it is just hot as balls. So first hand here, cutoff opens, we're in the big blind with ace-8 offsuit. I think this is a standard fold. Could be defending at some frequency. So yeah, defend. Oh no, we're raising it a little bit of frequency, same with ace-5 off, ace-4 off, and then we're kind of defending with a little bit higher. And then defending with a lot of our suited hands, pretty much. It seems like we're raising more of our vulnerable, weaker hands, and then calling with a lot of our mid-strength hands, and then obviously raising with our really strong hands. Next hand, we open the hijack, small blind 3 bets. We come in with a 4 bet with ace, queen offsuit. Small blind jams, it's going to be an easy fold. Just pretty much bottom of range for us. Only really calling that with aces, kings, ace-king suited, maybe queens at some frequency, given that it's a middle position open from us, so they're not going to be 3-betting as strong as if we were from a early position. Next hand here, we got pocket 10s in the cutoff, easy open. Button folds, but big blind defends, so they're going to be defending very, very wide, considering that we're a late position open. Big blind checks on a 7-3-2 deuce rainbow board. Only really connects with them in terms of if they got any 7x, so you know, some ace 7x, 7-8 suited, 6-7 suited. They're not going to really have too much 3x, apart from maybe ace 3 suited. That's pretty much about it. So I reckon we go with a nice small sizing here, just kind of see where we're at, and they fold. They're saying we should have gone for an even bigger sizing, so maybe try to just kind of isolate, see if we're up against a strong range, see if we're not. I guess that's what they're trying to achieve with that larger sizing. I can also hear a check back or even a half pot, just trying to really narrow down what could be what is a very wide, as you can see on the left hand side, a very wide big blind defend range. So I guess you want to go with a bigger sizing to try to isolate that down a little bit. Next hand, hijack opens. We're in the small blind of king 8 offsuit, easy fold. Next hand, hijack opens. We're in the big blind with pocket jacks, easy 3 bet here. I guess not. Maybe I guess it should have been a call. Board comes. So yeah, we 3 bet hijack calls. Board comes king jack 9 2 spades. So we've got middle set on a king high board, so king high can still be hitting them, although we do have all the strong king x's in our range. They don't have ace king, for example. They don't have ace king. They could have king queen. They could have king jack. Could have king 10. So they're not going to have top of range in terms of king x, but I definitely would prefer a check here out of position. Just try to see if they're going to take a stab at it. They go with 1/3 pot, so now we're going to be ranging them on some king x, maybe some ace highs like ace queen, like ace queen with ace of spades, or some form of flush draw potentially. So it's going to be an easy call for us. No need to put any more money in the pot. Just would have been possibly we want to try and keep in some of their bluffs in there as well. I'm supposing they're saying that we should have gone. So yeah, they're saying we should have 3 bet there. I guess, you know, they are saying that they do have a strong range here, possibly a king, and we don't want the board to get dangerous to the point where you might not get paid and might kill our action. And also here, yeah, so they're saying we should have just called pre-flop. I'm guessing idea is we're out of position, don't want to put any more money in, but we do have a very, very strong hand, so I'm surprised we don't want to be putting more money in. 10 rolls off, so now there's a one-liner to a queen out there. They could have had a lot of queen x. They definitely wouldn't be. The only real queen x they're going to have is king queen, for example. So king queen's probably the only hand. Ace queen maybe at some frequency as well. Considering we didn't 3-bet them on the flop, so they probably would have taken a stab at it with ace queen, especially if it had ace queen of spades or ace queen with the ace of spades, for example. So when the one-liner comes out, I don't really see any purpose in putting any more money in. So I reckon it's going to be an easy check, kind of playing a check call. Five of diamonds rolls off. What can we be getting value from here? King X probably won't be calling too much. We're blocking Jack, so it's very unlikely they got Jack X, and Ace Jack's probably not calling much either with the one-liner. Could they have pocket nines? Could they have pocket tens? Maybe. If they have pocket nines, pocket tens, they would maybe bet, or they might just check back. But I reckon it is a little bit thin to go for value, and we could get a little bit more value from checking and almost bluff catching. They do take a big stab at it. I reckon it's going to be an easy call. If we're up against a queen there, we kind of got to tip our hat and say fair enough. So easy call there. So they're saying we should have. So they're saying we should have gone for that half pot bet. My personal opinion is I prefer a check and a. I guess they're just scared of a check back. And a queen probably would have been betting on the turn rather than checking back on the turn. In my opinion, because we have shown a considerable amount, well, not a considerable amount of strength, I guess. So I guess maybe a queen might be trying to trap potentially, thinking that if they bet here, that might kill their action. Let's have a look here. So yeah, so a check there was correct. The call here, so yeah, should have 3-bet there. The check on the river, they're saying we should be the ones to put in that 24 sizing. But when they do put in that 24, we do call. So yeah, probably not the best played hand. I can understand that, and I can understand the thought process behind all of that. Next hand here, under the gun +1 opens when the small blind with Queen 7 suited, easy fold. Next hand, when under the gun +2 with some offsuit garbage, easy snap fold. Low jack opens when the small blind with some offsuit garbage, easy snap fold. In the low jack with some offsuit queen, gonna easy snap fold. Next hand, we're on the button with Queen 10 offsuit. This is gonna be an easy open. We can open very, very wide on the button as we're last act and we got absolute position. Board comes Ace 10 deuce. Rainbow, big blind checks. Big blind's not going to connect with this too much. They're not going to have any strong ace X. They're most likely defending with a lot of suited connectors, maybe some suited high cards, for example, and they're far more weighted towards those. Top of range, we're talking maybe some ace X in terms of like ace suited, for example. So we're definitely, if we're going by the same logic of the previous hand, we'd want to start to narrow down what the big blind has here. So we're going to go with about half pot. They call, so they've got to have either some type of draw. They could have 10x as well. Maybe an under pair. They can't really have a strong under pair. They pretty much can only have 9s and below. I wouldn't imagine the jacks. Queens, or kings would have what's it called? Flattered pre-flop. They could have some ace X here, but that's pretty much the only draws that they could have. Maybe like gut shots is pretty much all else that they could have here. So it is a bit of concern in that fashion when they check on the turn here. A card that doesn't really change anything. Considering they're calling, we're on a very dry static board. On dry static ace high board as well, so king high is not going to be thinking that they're good, especially when it slams our range as well. They could just be calling with some under pairs potential. They're just not, what I'm getting at is they just can't really have much worse for value, and they got to have something. If they're calling on this driver flop, they got to have something that they feel that they is either a good bluff catching candidate if we are bluffing, or they've got to feel as though they have something that's good for value. We're also interested to see, so they're saying we should have checked back. I can definitely understand that, considering the dry, static nature of the board, wanting to give them an opportunity to potentially catch up, keep their range a little bit wider on such a dry, static board that's unlikely to really get stabbed, or unlikely for them to be connecting with something that we could be easily ahead of. So I can definitely understand that. With that logic as well, when the 3 rolls off, it doesn't bring anything, but it doesn't change anything either. Wouldn't have improved them, doesn't improve us, so I like a check back here. When they check on the river, I reckon it might just be a little bit too thin to go for any value, because what are we getting called by? Like Jack 10, 9, 10. It's pretty much the only real value hands I can think of. Pocket 9s isn't calling anything. Probably 9-10 isn't calling anything either. Jack 10's probably not calling anything either. Ace X would probably call a lot of things, and we probably won't be able to get them to fold unless we go for big sizing. Unless they've got like a weak Ace X, but potentially now they've picked up a 2 pair with a lot of Ace 2, Ace 3, Ace 4. So I like a check, just check back here, take our showdown value. I do have King Queen for a gut shot. So yeah, check back there was good. Check there as well, and then should have just checked on the flop, given the dry static nature of it. Interesting call from them. It would be, so yeah, okay, so they're saying it's about a 50-50. Does make sense. But I would have thought that they would have just kind of snap folded, considering we do have range advantage. Yes, maybe the thinking is that we are opening from the button, so it's such a wide range that just purely saying they're open pre-flop and ace high board rolls off. That's not good enough to say that we've got a strong ace, or we've got an ace, or we have to have range advantage here, for example. I can understand that train of thought. Next hand here, under the gun open, +2 opens when the big blind, easy snap fold with an offsuit queen. Going to be out-kicked in a lot of situations, not a whole lot of playability. Same with the 6 deuce offsuit, once again, easy snap fold. Same with the 4-3 offsuit, easy snap fold. Same with the 8-4 suited against an under the gun open, nice easy snap fold. Same with the 3 deuce, not going to be opening that one up, even with our late position. Next hand here, hijack opens when the small blind we 3-bet with king queen offsuit. Facing a 4-bet from the hijack, I reckon this is going to be an easy fold. Just pretty much bottom of range for us, as you can see. We're pretty much only continuing with a lot of our strong hands, and it looks like we're jamming with our ace king off, kings, even jamming a little bit with our aces and our ace king suited as well, and our ace 5 as well, and also pocket queens. I guess the idea is we are up against a pretty strong 4-betting range here from the hijack, given that small blind's going to be 3-betting pretty strong. What's that? Late to middle position. Move on to the next hand. Under the gun +1 opens, where with ace 9 offsuit, easy snap fold. Out-kicked in a lot of situations. A lot of players behind as well. Under the gun +1 opens when the low jack with a suited weak jack, easy snap fold. Once again, easy snap fold with some offsuit garbage, doesn't matter about position or who is opening or whatever. Under the gun +2 opens when the button with a marginal ace, going to be an easy snap fold. Going to be out-kicked in a lot of situations. Marginal hands are very polarizing. Going to be get put into a lot of tough situations where we could end up losing a big pot. Under the gun +1 opens, we've got an offsuit weak queen, easy snap fold, out-kicked in a lot of situations. One of those polarizing hands that either you hit or you miss, and you could just be throwing away bigs, and you don't really want to just be limping in or calling, as you will allow a lot of people behind. Hijack opens, we've got jack 9 offsuit in the button, easy snap fold. Next hand, we're in the low jack with king 10 offsuit. I reckon this is going to be a snap fold. A little bit on the outskirts, sometimes going to be a raise, it appears. That makes no sense. In about middle position, can open up a little bit more. Cutoff opens, we're on the button with king 4 suited. It's going to be an easy snap fold. Are defending, well, we are raising with a lot of our suited aces. We can't really be calling too much from the button, especially against a late position open, given that it's going to most likely allow at least one, or if not both of the blinds in. Next hand here, we got king queen suited under the gun +2. We open, button 3-bets. I can understand a 4-bet here, but I much prefer a call, given that a 4-bet will most likely be isolating too much of a strong range up against the button here, that we are going to be put in a lot of tough situations. So they're saying we should have put in the 4-bet. But my assumption is, given that they're 3-betting a very tight, strong under the gun +2 range, even though they are on the button, it's still going to be a very, very tight range from them. So therefore, we've got to be keeping that in mind when we're choosing what we're going to 4-bet here. And we also got to consider that we are out of position and heads up, and we don't really want to be playing an over-bloated pot unless we got a really, really premium holding. Board comes ace, ace, 8, rainbow. This is going to favor the pre-flop aggressor very, very heavily. They're going to have far more ace-x than we are. We can have some ace-x here in terms of like some ace-suited x that would have opened and then just called. But I do prefer a check here, kind of see where we're at. When they go about about 1/4 pot, 1/3 pot? No, 1/4 pot. Don't really see any reason to calling. We're pretty much just trying to say that if we're calling here, we don't believe they have an ace, and we don't believe they have a strong king. We're most likely going to be chopping a lot of situations if we do believe that they don't have an ace, and that they've got like a king high, because they wouldn't be doing this with like king jack, for example. They wouldn't be doing this with king 10, for example. They they could easily be turning king queen into a bluff here, but we're just kind of then calling to keep on bluff catching all the way. They could also have some underpairs that are very good here as well. They could have kings, queens, jacks, 10s even, and 9s even. They would all be betting here. So I prefer a fold given that we have no real backdoor equity. So they're saying it should have been a 4-bet. I'm very surprised that they would be. So I'm very surprised that they're going to be 3-betting us this wide. Given that we are under the gun +2, I wouldn't have thought they would be 3-betting us this wide. Maybe, they're trying to balance out their range and also take advantage of their absolute position. And then they're saying that the fold here, so they're saying we should have been calling. I just don't understand the call mostly, just because we're kind of calling then to be bluff catching all the way. We're kind of saying, hey, we don't think you have anything. I guess maybe if we're thinking that they do have an underpair, that at least we have 6 clean outs. So 6 times 4, about 24% equity. We do also have backdoor diamonds potentially. We could backdoor into the nut flush. But then it's also, well, not that hard to get paid because it is disguised, but also we have both the king and the queen of diamonds. So it's hard for them to have any real blockers to think that we wouldn't have a good flush, for example. I think that's a right train of thought. But I'd much rather have at least a little bit more equity if we're calling on this flop, for example. But I can understand the 4-bet pre. Offsuit garbage, easy snap fold facing a low jack open. Small blind limps when the button, no need to raise it up, just kind of going to be value owning ourselves. Queen high here, just not good enough to go for value, easy check back. Don't really see any value in trying to bet at this at all unless we turn a queen or river a queen or river a deuce, and I like a fold here. Didn't really see any value in betting there. Way too thin to go for anything. Maybe a stab, but I just don't really like the stab at all. And we're most likely going to run into it, and we can't really tell what their range is at all when it's such a wide versus wide configuration. Cutoff opens when the big blind with king 10 of diamonds. No need to 3-bet. Easy call here. Easy defend. Board comes ace, king, king, 2 spades. So we flop trips here on an A-side board. Cutoff could have a lot of easy ace-x here. They could potentially have some better king-x like king, queen, king, jack. I do like a check here on such a dry static board. Want to keep their range nice and wide. When they go about half pot here, I can easily hear a raise here. Just try to isolate, see, okay, do they have an ace? Do they have something good? I can hear that train of thought. I can also hear a call, trying to keep their bluffs in. But I want to try a raise here, for example. Try to see, okay, do they have some ace-x? When they call here, we're ranging them on purely some ace-x. They could potentially have some better kings, but if they have a better king, I'm very happy with going broke in this situation. 7 of diamonds, very inconsequential. They could potentially have some underpairs, maybe. But we're mostly just weighting them towards some strong ace-x, like maybe even ace-king, for example, but we're ranging them with some strong ace-x, ace-queen, maybe, could they have aces? Maybe, and we could run into it a lot of times here. but I would much rather run into it than be folding such a strong holding. Stack to pot ratio just below 3 here, so I want to size up for a river jam, trying to get all the money in from an ace X, like ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, those type of hands. Maybe ace queen of, I don't know. But yeah, we're mostly just targeting. Could they have any? Could they have weak ace queen? Like, because I mean, obviously there is still one king, but I feel like if we're folding the idea that they could have a stronger king, but what else could they be calling the 3-bet with? I'm assuming we should have just called. Yeah, should have just called. I guess the idea is we might be value earning ourselves in this situation, potentially. Could we be value earning ourselves? Maybe. Could they have a spades draw potentially that we're ahead of? I'm just trying to make sure, like, do they have some worse for value? Pretty much the only things worse for value: ace queen, ace jack, ace 10. Any spade draws, for example. Pretty much the only spade draws with the 2 out there is pretty much queen jack of spades, and that's it. And then we're looking at what? Queens, jacks, 10s maybe. And then not a whole lot else. And then maybe just some like ace suited bluffs, like ace 5, some other ace suited that you would always be opening in the cutoff. But then we did 3-bet. No, we just called, didn't we? So yeah, they could easily have some ace suited bluffs here, and maybe they just don't want to be folding top pair. But what would an ace suited, like would an ace suited go all the way? Most likely not. But they couldn't really range us on a strong ace, for example, so they would only really be folding if they put us on a king, or something like a king 7, like, well, yeah, pretty much just a king, because we can't have ace king, for example, and then we can't have any of those strong aces, like we're not going to have ace queen, we're going to have ace jack, so pretty much the only thing that we can have here for value is a king. So if they don't put us on a king, they probably would be comfortable with taking that ace all the way. So I'm just trying to think between, like, do we try to size up for a river jam, like go something like what, 22 bigs, or what does 15 bigs do it as well? 15 bigs would bring us down to 70 with about 60, so that's just above pot, whereas 22 bigs, that would be 40 in the middle, so 70, and that would leave us about 62 behind, so just under pot. So I'm either going 22 or 15 if I want to size up for a river jam, or I'm checking if I believe they're pretty much just going to be far too weighted towards ace X, or possibly some better king X, for example. So it's either size up for a river jam, or it'd be check, try to check call, or probably definitely not check folding. We could maybe check fold, could potentially get away from it, given that there's not going to be much else worse for value. This definitely shows my lack of ability on turns. I'm very good at flop betting and pre-flop, but then turns is always the difficulty. But this is what sets you apart, and this is the whole point of this series: try and get a little bit better. I'm gonna go with that. I think they're far too weighted towards being too strong. We get the check back. When we get the check back, I reckon that's a green light to go for a little bit of thin value. But what could we be trying to get thin value from, though, is my question. I'd be interested to see what other sizing they would have said. So yeah, they would have said the 15, so leaving just above pot behind. And the cutoff check back. So they could easily still be checked. Like aces would probably check back here, trying to get us to stab at it. Aces would probably check back here. Ace king, king queen, king jack would all be checking back most likely on the turn, so it doesn't really tell us anything more. So I reckon the only way we're going to get worse to be betting here would be to check and check call. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go for check call. They bet out 18. I reckon it's going to be easy call. So I'm reckon, yeah, okay, so they said we should have gone for value. Okay. And they ended up having a king X. Yeah. Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, I just figured if we're checking on the turn, I figured we would have been checking on the river as well. Was just what I thought. And then yeah, because it's such a underplayed 0% that they don't have any solution for it. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process of, you know, if we're checking on the turn, and they've checked back, like would they be like they would still be checking? We're kind of in the exact same situation. Like aces, ace king, or like a better king probably wouldn't be concerned about anything. They might be putting us on a flush draw potentially, so they might be more concerned. But so as to like, want to raise on the turn, but I reckon they're more likely to be okay with allowing us to kind of see that fifth card, take the chance that it isn't a flush. Yeah, so yeah, don't raise there. Isolates too much of a strong range. And then go for value. But what are we trying to get value from in the river here, though? Like, because the only thing, like, what? Like, we get ace X, maybe, could be calling. Like, would queens be calling? Probably not. Queens probably wouldn't be calling. Jacks wouldn't be calling. Tens definitely wouldn't be calling. Busted flush draws wouldn't be calling. And the only flush draw they got is really Queen Jack. Queen 10 maybe. Yeah, Queen Jack, Queen 10. Could have some sort of connectors potentially. But would they be calling? Probably not as well. So I was under the impression that it's mostly like if you're not going to get called by worse for value, then you shouldn't be betting. So yeah, interesting one there in my opinion. Definitely one I'll go back and review. Next hand here, under gun +1 opens. We're in the big blind with 7-6 offsuit. I like a defend. Evidently we shouldn't have defended. Yes, it should have just been a fold. God damn it. I thought that it was good enough, considering that it's an under the gun and we're going to be avoid being out kicked in a lot of situations. We're going to avoid the very easy hand to play. We either hit or we miss, and we only need to put in an extra 1.5 bigs in order to win 3-4. So I figured the pot odds were there with a hand that could potentially win a really big pot up against a range that they're not going to be connecting on the same boards with. Next hand here, we got the Doyle, but unfortunately the Doyle is going to be folded, as I'm not good enough as Doyle to be able to win with the Doyle. So yeah, there's our 30 hands, going to call it there. So 30 hands, hang on, I can actually do this one, go here, so yeah. So there's our 30 hands, 87% GTO score, 37 best moves, 7 correct moves, 1 inaccuracy, 1 wrong move, and 1 blunder. The 1 blunder being that 7-6 hand, trying to defend that from the big blind. Wrong move being not river betting, going for some really thin bet value in my opinion, with the King 10 hand, and then I cannot remember what was the inaccuracy move. I'm assuming it was just like some sort of sizing. So it's either not you, Jack-X, no, not you, 10 hands, potentially, nope. Was it in the King 10 hand? Oh, yeah, yeah, so it was, 3 betting on the flop there. I'm guessing the idea, isolates too much of a strong range, on a very dry static board, unlikely to get stabbed at and unlikely to be connected with for worse value most likely. So a decent result apparently. So yeah, hope you guys, as always, hope you guys learned something. Enjoy the rest of your days, take care, have a good one, and as always, play well.